Good evening, Pokephiles and other varied degenerates that decided this was a good idea. Today we are doing Pokemusu, Pass on and Smash, Pass or Smash, presented by Elsiss Surana, because I, it turns out, am a whore. This is my life now. What can I say? And you know what, there is actually a term for wanting to, sexually molest Pokemon. It's called Pokephilia, which I always thought sounded more like an obsession with poking people rather than necessarily a sexual attraction to fantastical wildlife, but hey, tomato, tomato, I do suppose. I did struggle a little bit to find a decent, safe for work version of this, and I did eventually get one that is close enough for government work, so, here we are. I'll be using this, as this has been pre-screened for the spicier elements of this, and hopefully that will allow the video to not instantly be heated off the internet. Let's see. Right. We have 151 Pokemon to get through, so let's get started, shall we? Bulbasaur. A giant bulb rests on the top of their backs, while big in size, their backs, it is not heavy enough to prevent them from standing up, but it makes it uncomfortable. As a result, they prefer to kneel and crouch. A woman's correct position. Good. Happy and easygoing. Not very female. They spend most of their time looking for nice sunny places to rest and for nutrients or for their seeds on their backs. They believe that there's nothing as good as having a peaceful and quiet life. They're connected with nature and prefer to live undisturbed. They fashion their own outfits with leaves and other materials found in the forest. They inhabit and hold them together by wrapping their vines around their bodies. A sense of dignity. Good. When angered, they'll use their vines to whip at their enemies and drive them off. Of course, that causes their handcrafted outfit to fall off, frustrating them to no end. Well, at least they have a sense of shame. This is good. So part of the requirement is to read the description text, and so we shall do so. Pass, because I have a feeling that I'll become food afterwards. You know, plants, dangerous things to have sex with. Ivysaur. The bulb on their back has grown quite a bit at this stage, and they lose the ability to stand up. An improvement. Since at this point it is very, very heavy, it feeds from sunlight, so they don't have to move a lot. They are usually grumpy, more female as well, and seem to be annoyed at the fact that they are forced to crawl around. Also female. The weight of the bulb makes them constantly angry. Very female. Ironically enough, said bulb also produces a very calming aroma. It's the most feminine creature so far. They love to search the forest for the best spot to absorb sunlight. Despite their grumpy demeanor, they like to be left alone to nap calmly under the morning sun. While they can also use their vines to attack enemies, they rarely rely on them. For the most part, they can't be bothered to fight and prefer to use the bud's aroma to charm or calm any potential aggressors. Only when said scent fail are they forced to use violence. The silent treatment. Well, probably by far the most female of the bunch so far, so... Smash. 1. Okay, good. Oh, okay, no. See? No. Strong ara energy, but no. No, pass immediately. The flower on their back has fully bloomed. It's pretty large and heavy. It is because of this that they grow quite large in size compared to their past. I guess this is the size comparison. Their skin is tough and they can withstand an incredible amount of force. Their prowess, as a result of the flower they carry, they are peaceful and most of the time sleepy. They move slowly towards nice sunny areas and nap for hours on end to get as much sunlight as possible. Since they gain nutrients from the flower and sunlight as well, they don't have to search for food or hunt. While motionless, the flower releases a pleasant fragrance that soothes emotions and induces happiness. Defensive in nature, they rather deal with intruders using their powerful, charming scent. Some are so strong that one whiff of the fragrance will put a grown man to sleep for hours. They don't even need to be awake to fend off enemies in this manner. I see. Incidentally, let me just double check here. There we are. Yes, it does seem to be functional as far as I can see. Streamlabs, Superchats, all that stuff will be done at the end just to retain the... Because I was wondering whether I should stream this or do a video, so I'm kind of going to do both, essentially. But that's a pass. Oh, God. No, there's something wrong with... No, there's something wrong with those proportions. It's like a human-shaped chicken or something. Charmander. A flame rests on the end of their tail. Said flame is a representation of their spirit and burns bright and lively when in good health and gets weak and dimmer as they debilitate. Since flame is spiritual in nature, it cannot be put out by regular means like water, but once they die, the flame will die with them. Is this true? I seem to remember a Pokemon movie where Charmander was about to die because his flame was about to go out due to rain. I question the lore veracity of this. Very friendly and cheery, they love to explore and find new stuff to play with. They wear their emotions on their sleeves. What sleeves? And one can easily tell how they are feeling. Exploring is part of their nature, and they come equipped with a natural bonfire that helps them see in the darkness and cook their meals. They cook their food? I don't know why that surprises me. They don't have a particular goal when exploring. They're known to collect a bunch of junk and call it their treasure. Their claws and fangs are reserved for eating and will seldom use them to attack enemies. How does it acquire food? They'd rather be friend strangers than fight them. When a time comes where one of said strangers is aggressive, they'll quickly run away crying out for help. I am confused as to the universal setting of this. So what does it eat? I'm presuming animals. Which it kills with its claws, I presume, and yet it apparently interacts friendlily with humans. Is this one of those Monster Girl universes where they actually view humans primarily as mating material? Charmeleon. Better, rocking abs, I like it. They gain a great amount of power as they evolve. Their bodies become stronger and their claws and arms get bigger. The protective scales that covered most of their bodies get much harder, and with said improvements, their temperature and nature gets more aggressive, anxious to try their newfound strength on anyone they can. Extremely aggressive and barbaric, they live for the fight and will grow continuously anxious and angry until they find someone to fight with and let out all of their rage. They'll search far and wide for new enemies and rivals to defeat. They will create stories in their minds to justify their bloodlust. They'll run up to their enemies and spout incomprehensible stuff like, "You'll pay for what you did to my family," or "What did you do to my parents?" as they point at you ready for a fight. Chunibu syndrome. Adorable. When fighting, they'll use their claws and tails to mercilessly strike at their opponents, and they won't stop until their enemies are completely defeated. Needless to say, this might result in fatalities. Despite being able to breathe fire, they rarely use it to fight. Smash. Absolutely. A bit of a challenge there. Charizard. See, I feel like we strike the golden mean and then we just fly off beyond it. At this stage, they grow wings that allow them to soar through the skies. At will, their fire breath is so hot it can melt boulders, an ability they take advantage of when constructing their lairs. Their strong legs allow them to quickly take to the skies and commence flight. Unlike Charmeleons, they have their fighting impulse under control and see pointless displays of strength as shameful. They still love a good fight, but will only engage with willing and worthy challengers. They create their own dungeons and caves in the mountains and make a complex set of tunnels thanks to their potent fire. They love to seek out powerful opponents, and if they win, they'll take a trophy to celebrate their victory. They're extremely powerful, and they know it. When fighting, they'll use a combination of all their skills, fire, raw strength, and flying, to completely overwhelm their opponents. They give it their all whenever they fight. Of course, they will only engage with whomever they deem worthy, otherwise they'll ignore you. Extremely prideful. I see. Pass. No. At birth, their shells are soft. Valuable information, I'm sure. They become harder and resilient as they grow older, serving as armor to protect them from possible attacks. They're unable to fully retract into their shells. Yeah, I can see the logistical difficulties with this. Protect them from possible attack. They're unable to fully retract into their shells, but they make up for it in speed, swimming away incredibly fast from danger. They're quite shy and like to remain in groups for protection. For the most part, they remain underwater, poking their heads out when something strikes their fancy. If startled, they'll spit out water jets from their mouths to confuse and stagger threats. They always aim for the eyes. Why does every creature that spit always aim for the eyes? Clearly there's something to do with animals and the recognition that eyes are useful. If startled, they spit out one ear. They always aim for the eyes. They might not do much by itself, but when a group of them do it, it can force the even larger opponent to retreat. A group of them. The pack animals, are they? That makes it worse somehow. When forced to fight, they'll use their water to confuse opponents and then attack by charging with their shells. But aren't their shells soft? Surely this will not aid them much, right? They are very cautious even when in combat. They'll move around enemies until they find an opening to strike. Pass, incidentally. Wartortle. Its tails and ears are covered in soft white fur. Good. Which stores air to increase the amount of time they can remain underwater. Excuse me, hold on a second there. You breathe through your ass somehow? That's the only way I can understand how you can store air in your tail and use it to breathe underwater. Well, that brings an entire new meaning to the word asphyxiation, I do suppose. Their shell is bigger and sturdier with strange algae growing on it. They can live an incredibly long time. Records show of wartortles being up to 10,000 years old. Gilf. As such, they are a symbol of longevity. One can get an idea of how old one of them is by the color of their furry parts. They grow darker as time passes. They are very calm and collected and mostly enjoy swimming around the lakes they inhabit. They spend most of the time underwater and are particularly cautious. Some believe that eating their tails can increase one's lifespan by 100 years, so poaching is common. Despite that, they are by no means harmless. If forced to defend themselves, their incredible speed on water and strength of their water jets can easily knock out a human adult. You know, I was on the Smash path there, but after hearing the later part and their indeterminate age, I'm going to have to move on to Pass. Blastoise. Okay, warming to it. Blastoise's shell has grown considerably in size, and it has 2 water cannons sitting above her shoulders. The water jets come out of those are incredibly powerful, being able to pierce steel and concrete. The recoil said cannon is just as powerful. As a result, they deliberately make themselves heavier to withstand the impact. A feeder's wet dream. They are very common, community-driven, often then they protect Squirtles that live on the same lake as them, and eventually they form a little group of Squirtles and Wartles they look after lovingly. MILF. Helping their community out is the best way to earn their trust and respect. They are quite honorable and value just as highly. The best way to win the mother turtle's heart is to take care of her children. I see. Their cannons can easily kill a person, and they can even destroy structures if they so please. They can control the pressure of said shots. Pressure. And will only use 100% power if in the most dire situation. They only fight evil, so don't mess with their group. And I believe that their definition of evil then is anything that is outside of their group. Communistic in appearance. I was leaning towards Smash there, but that latter involvement of, well, community-driven violence. No, I'm going to have to pass on that one too. Caterpie, Pokemusu. Yellow rings run through the side of their bodies and even on their heads. They resemble their eyes and are meant to scare off threats. I see. Their real eyes are hidden beneath their bangs to increase the effect of the fake eyes. They are really peaceful and quiet, minding their own business and always looking for leaves to munch on. Hold on, predators. What preys on these things exactly? Do I even want to know? Sadly, they are constantly attacked by others since they are slow by nature. They move, react, and even talk slowly and with calm, even if their lives are threatened. They can produce their own silk and are skilled enough to make small objects with it, like bags or baskets that they use when out in the forest gathering leaves to eat. They wrap their bodies with silk that resembles clothing and protect themselves from the cold. They aren't aggressive or very well equipped for fighting, but they do possess some defensive mechanisms to drive off attackers. They can also produce a vomit-inducing stench from their antenna. Oh goody. They use their silk to entangle enemies and then make their slow escape. So first it makes you vomit, and then it vomits on you, and then runs away. If approached peacefully, they always come close and be happy to meet a new friend. Most humans are creeped out by their bodies. I agree. Pass. Metapod. Pass-er. Most of their bodies are covered by a hard shell that protects them from harm, while they morph into Butterfree. Their shell covers their back completely, but their front remains somewhat soft and vulnerable. But why? They remain immobile, and they're only capable of moving their arms extremely slowly. Their eyes remain fully functional. Now that sounds like a nightmare waiting to happen. A vivid mental image of a creature moving up to this thing and beginning to eat it alive slowly through its soft and vulnerable abdomen, even as it remains entirely awake and lucid and capable of thinking and feeling, emerges. This does not seem like a wise survival method at all. Some hang from trees with a silk string and others hug trees, always pointing their backs out for maximum defense. They are natural huggers. They'll hug you and pull you close if you approach them, and won't let you go. They'll keep you there to protect their soft front from harm. I see. Again, and a brand new meaning to the word struggle snuggle. They lack combat capabilities. Well, we'll disagree on that one. Their only ability is to harden their shell to repel attackers. They believe in beauty and aesthetics. As Caterpies, they strike poses before entering the cocoon stage. They believe a sexy pose will yield a stunning Butterfree, so they work hard to maintain their alluring posture during their metamorphosis. Another vivid image of a Pokemon trainer utilizing these for, you know, masturbatory purposes also emerges in my mind, but I shan't describe that one as fully as the other one. It is advisable to stay clear of them. If they trap you in one of their hugs, they won't let you go until they are ready to evolve. Butterfree. You know, the two red spheres at the top of their heads are giant eyes compared to thousands of little eyes. Nightmare fuel intensifies. Their vision is remarkable and allows them to stay alert and detect movements at almost 360 degrees. They use their front eyes to focus when necessary. Their wings contain poisonous dust that releases slowly when they flap them. Depending on the dose, this dust can have multiple effects from the paralysis to unconsciousness. They use the thin fabric they wear to collect said dust and release it at will to neutralize threats. They are caring and tender, except when they poison you whenever they move. They love to protect Metapods from danger. They do this by putting aggressors to sleep. They also fly around in search of humans. Once they spot a suitable one, they swoop in, grab them, and tape them to the Metapod so they can help in protecting them. While non-aggressive by nature, they are going to force you to rape their sisters. You know, there's something weirdly hot about that. They aren't afraid to take advantage of their dust, sometimes spreading it randomly in the hopes of catching a good partner for Metapods they care for. You know what? I wasn't liking this to begin with, but with the whole added level of second-degree incest, we're gonna have to go for smash on that one, definitely. Oh, Weedle. Their most distinguishing characteristic is the giant venomous stinger on their foreheads. I would say the giant fluffy posterior is more easily distinguishable, but, you know. But they also possess one on their tails. Oh, I thought that was a tail. The fur covering their lower half can be irritating to the touch. Their bright coloration serves as a warning. Curious and with an appetite for discovery, they are easy to approach. Sadly, they are often attacked and hunted down thanks to their infamous reputation of their Beedrill form. This has resulted in Weedles being shy and hiding in bushes and vegetation. But their curiosity gets the better of them, and one can often see them poking their heads out from their hiding spots. Their love of leaves is so great they use them to dress themselves. Does that mean that that's where his private parts are? So that they won't get hungry while traveling around in the forest. Oh, okay, so it's not for cover, it's just snacks. Okay, fine. Their clothes are often ridden with bite marks and holes. Their venom is strong enough to kill young humans and incapacitate adults, but they only use it in self-defense. If one were to approach their hiding spot, they'll lunge forward and attempt to sting the threat and run away. There's no reason to approach that hiding spot if one wants to form a bond with them. A simple leaf offering or an interesting object will get them out of hiding in no time. Ah, bribery or prostitution. Okay, fair enough. Pass. Kakuna. Oh god, another one. Well, I mean, I guess this one is mildly more attractive than the previous one. In this form, Kakuna surrounds themselves with armor-like plating to protect themselves while they transform into Beedrill. They can no longer move, the only thing they can do is extend their stinger-like arms to protect themselves. The transformation process from this Pokemusu is extremely painful. Now you're making me feel bad all of a sudden. They yearn to evolve, and that becomes all they can think about, effectively reducing the amount of time it takes for them to evolve, but also increasing their pain exponentially. Aha. At this stage, they learn to communicate via vibrations. Something for the female Pokemon trainers, I see. And they get exposed to the hive mind, which urges them to evolve as soon as possible, so they can join the ranks of Beedrills. Unable to move and with unbearable pain, it at this point where they start to descend into madness. Okay, getting darker. All the curious and sweet personality of their Weedle selves are erased. All bonds they once shared with others forgotten forever. All that is left is the hive mind and the urge to evolve as soon as possible. If they are raised away from Beedrills or the Kakunas, they won't succumb to the hive mind, but they require constant care and resources so they can bear the pain to evolution. So, hold on, let me square this circle. You first bribe them out of hiding so that you can, you know, do your thing. Then, when they evolve, you need to kidnap them, bring them to a secluded location, like a basement, for example, where you can keep them away from their family forever so as to make sure that they don't go mad. Aha. I see. Well, you know what? There's a bit of spice there. Smash, sure. Beedrill, Poison Bee Pokemusu. I do like danger. Beedrill has 3 venomous stingers. Why 3? 2 on their arms and 1 with incredibly powerful aim on its tail. They fly at great speed and have fantastic eyesight, so much so that they can easily deflect arrows with their stingers. Incredibly aggressive, they will mercilessly and relentlessly attack anything they deem an enemy. They will use their arms and spears to stab their opponents until they kill them. They also fight in groups and use advanced tactics. They always go for the kills, they lack any personality or traits, all they can think about is to defend and expand the hive. They don't fear death and will gladly lay down their lives for the hive. When in combat, they will keep attacking even if cut in half. They are feared by many, I see why. They always look to expand and they will regularly raise towns to the ground. You know, the genocide of the earlier variants are making a lot more sense right now. By far the most horrifying thing about them is their powerful venom. Once stung, the venom will melt the insides of their victims, leaving behind a husk filled with an incredibly sweet nectar known as Beedrill's honey. A depraved delicacy amongst the richest and perverse of humans. This started out very nicely. Very sweetly. Most kingdoms will use their armies to get rid of hives across their territory. Yeah, I see why. Still smash, though. Absolutely, no doubt. Pidgey. Tiny bird Pokemusu. Tiny is a relative term. By far their most unique feature of a Pidgey is their thick eye... Yeah, I noticed that now. Thick eyebrows. They extend past the side of their heads and sometimes make them look upset even if they aren't. Their wings are powerful, but due to their size, they get tired easily and prefer staying on the ground. Docile and peaceful, they detest conflict. The Pokemon show yet again has told me that this is a lie. And as soon as anything happens, remotely resembling trouble appears, they'll fly away. Their favorite maneuver is to throw sand at their enemies' eyes with their talons to make their escape. They are really proud of this move. Not very intelligent, I see. They struggle with weight most of the time, having plump bodies. Again, definitions. Snork, and they gain weight really fast. Because of that, they get tired with ease when flying for extended periods of time. They dislike this, so they avoid flying if necessary, which doesn't help their figures. Their wings are strong enough that it flaps quickly. They can create gusts of wind capable of blowing light humans away. They never engage in combat and possess a keen sense of direction, which allows them to find their way back after flying away. The eyebrows are a bit disturbing, but smash. Pidgeotto. Most would look at a Pidgeotto and believe them to be eyebrowless, but in fact their eyebrows have grown longer than their previous state. All eyebrows. I see. Now they have a seamlessly merged with their hair, making them look like part of it. Their wings have grown bigger and stronger, and they love to fly more than anything else in the world. Like other bird types, they have a tendency to swoop down and grab people to take them to their nests. After the previous Beedrills, I dread to think why. They are quite territorial and will often look for places to call their own. The higher they are, the better. Danger of falling. Once they become comfortable with the place, they will proclaim it as their nest and actively defend it. The area that they claim to be on can be up to 100 kilometers. Aha, they will attack and drive away anyone they don't like away from their territory. In 100 kilometers. Another Pokemusu that seems to be a bit of a problem for any local settlements. They possess sharp talons, and their wings are capable of summoning strong winds. Some believe magic is involved somehow. They employ these set strong wind to run enemies off from their territory, but more often than not, their strategy is just to grab intruders and fly them outside of it. Okay, well, at least they don't pick you up and drop you down from a few hundred meters. Pass. Pidgeotto. See, I was hoping there would be a hotter sister around the corner, and I was correct. Pidgeottos are inspirational. Their bodies are toned and strong due to all the flying. Their digits Pidgeotto. Pidgeot. These names used to make sense to 12-year-old Arch. Flying is no longer something they just enjoy, it's part of who they are. Constantly in the air, training to improve their speed, they are sent to fly faster than the speed of sound. The rules of aerodynamics seem to disagree with this. They are sent to fly faster than the speed of sound. So much time in the air near the sun has given their skin a nice tan. Ooh, tan lines. I noticed that now. Nice touch, thank you. They care little about humans and consider their bird tradition of swooping down to catch people disgraceful. Their magnificent speed should never be used to flaunt or take advantage of those slower than themselves. They are very serious and straightforward, often failing to understand humor. It is very rare to find a Pidgeot in the wild, and even if one is in the area, there's not a lot of chance to see them as they rarely remain still. They don't like to fight or cause trouble, but if forced to, their incredible speed will finish off opponents in a flash. If that were to fail, their wings can create windstorms when flapped. Smash. Definitely. No doubt. Nice tan lines and everything. Brilliant. Rattata. Well, you know, it's a Skaven, basically, so preemptive smash. Rattata are really short but very fast, agile and sneaky. They love to go about unnoticed. Their big fluffy tails look like it's curled, but it can't be uncurled, and their hair mimics that curly fashion naturally. They aren't the smartest Pokemusu around, that's a bonus. They can't grasp from observation humans that clothing has some sort of hierarchical value to it, but they can't fully comprehend how it functions exactly. They can grasp them. She's wearing panties on her head and belts around her chest. I thought that was just a Japanese thing, but that's actually because they're not very intelligent. I see. Makes sense. They sneak around camps in small towns, steal food and clothing, as well as shiny valuables. Then they proceed to adorn themselves with them without grasping where each item is supposed to go, or even comprehending how it works. Afterwards, they proceed to show off their adornment sells to other Rattatas to gain respect. Even though they aren't particularly aggressive, they'll defend their treasures fiercely, and will attack and bite anyone who tries to steal them from them. A lot of times, these items just get stolen by other Rattatas instead of directly from humans. Their fangs can pack quite a punch, so it's unwise to provoke them. Bribe with clothing. Raticut. Raticats are bigger and angrier than Rattatas. That only makes them better. That is thanks to their giant teeth, which are constantly growing. They are so powerful they can eat through rock. Why does that make them angrier? It is not uncommon to hear them making holes through buildings. The growing pains in their teeth cause them to go in a bad mood constantly and gives them the need to bite stuff. Because of this, they always carry rocks and bricks around to nibble at. I see. Once a Rattata has stolen enough valuables and has been recognized as the best, it evolves into a Raticat. They have intimidating stares and constantly bite down on rocks in front of others to scare them. At this point, clothing has lost their value it once had, and they are content with simple outfits that they create from what they stole. Simple. I see. While not outright aggressive, it is easily angered and will always attack at the slightest provocation, which makes it awkward to deal with one that has infiltrated into a building. Since scaring them off is not viable, a fight usually ensures if one is not successful to get rid of them. Well, that's one way to go about it. Alternatively, keeping them around might be a better solution. They aren't particularly popular with humans. I disagree. Smash. Absolutely. No questions. Spearow. See, I have a weakness for thigh highs, and it's kind of hitting that weakness right now. Sparrow's wings are shorter than most bird types, so this makes them quite inept at flying. They can stay airborne for short periods of time, and only by flapping their wings quickly, which doesn't look particularly graceful. As a result, their bodies are quite strong and athletic. They are known for their powerful screeches that can be heard over 1 kilometer away. Natural rape alarms. Good for them. They might need them. Also, especially seeing as, how clothing is like, my outfit is not an invitation? Well, I've always disagreed with that point to a certain degree, and I'm disagreeing with it more and more every set. I mean milk, yes indeed. But it can also be used as a powerful stunning weapon. Most will quickly cover their ears to avoid it. They prefer to be alone, and their personalities are aloof and disdainful for the most part. They will often ignore humans and their settlements, wanting nothing to do with them. They dedicate themselves to training their bodies and perfecting their screeches, all else is perceived as a waste of time. A woman who spends their entire day practicing how to scream. That does make it a lot less attractive all of a sudden. Despite being fairly antisocial and going their own way in life, they will group together and fight as a team to drive off particularly imposing or perspective English. I've forgotten the English word now. Never mind. Their strategy is simply stun with their screech and then use their talons to strike. Oh, okay, not to flee, to murder. Okay. Still, that's still gonna have to be a smash. A dangerous one. Fearow. Okay, that might be a bit too far. Fearow is the result of Sparrow's hard and relentless training. It grows long, beautiful wings that allows them to soar the skies endlessly and at great speed. Thanks to their amazing stamina, they can fly for days without having to stop to rest, making them the rulers of the skies in the wasteland they inhabit. Yeah, there was something quite Thunderdome-y about that. Their antisocial tendencies as sparrows make them quite awkward. They are uncomfortable dealing with social interactions, which is why they live in wastelands. They steal from travelers often. Is that an adornment, or is that like, somebody tried to enslave this one, which makes a certain degree of sense.
Fire is the answer.
Amazing skills like theirs need to be flaunted, and they do that quite a bit. Flying up as high as they can into the sky before descending to attack or snatch loot is their preferred maneuver. It's overly dramatic and unnecessary, but visually appealing and intimidating. They aren't by any means deadly, but their stealing tendencies make them a threat to humans, which often try to capture them. The chains they proudly wear are a sign of their indomitable spirit. Their combat strategy is to remain airborne to avoid most attacks, and knock out the enemy with quick and powerful diving strikes. Pass. A bit too Tina Turner, and that brings along negative connotations in this day and age. Ekans. Never been one for the Lamias. Ekans grow longer as they get older. Does that mean that they're basically just women when they're born? That has a lot of unfortunate implications. Let us not dive into this particular snake pit. Their lengthy, snaky bodies are for constricting potential enemies. They wrap around trees to sleep, despite being perfectly capable of building homes they like the freshness of sleeping out in the open rides. Personality-wise, Ekans are pretty meek and shy. They hide at the sight of strangers and prefer keeping to themselves. But make no mistake, despite their shyness, they are not weak or harmless. Their tails are quite strong, but the real power comes from their magic in their eyes. They possess an ability known as glare, which means they can charm and submit anyone who gazes into their eyes to their will. At this stage, this ability is not very powerful, and for the most part, they use it without realizing. They avoid combat, but if forced to fight, they'll use their glare to disarm opponents and use their tail to strike them. They long to fall in love and find a partner, but be advised they're extremely jealous and quite emotional. They don't tolerate their partner forming bonds with anyone else but themselves. You know what? Mental illness girlfriend. Suddenly, I have turned around completely, 180 degrees, definite smash. Who cares that they look weird? Who cares that sex with them would be very, very freaky and uncomfortable? And who cares that they're probably going to make you orgasm in your sleep by just staring intently at you? None of that matters. Aggressive, possessive girlfriend, good. Thus the scar on my forehead. Okay. Less enthused by their evolved form, I gotta say. Our book. When an Ekan gets his heart broken and their love is destroyed, okay, good, so you can just avoid that, fine. They pass days crying and lamenting their existence. Eventually, that sadness turns into anger. It is this moment that they become Arbok. Filled with hatred, they will seek revenge, chasing their former lovers to the end of the earth, dreaming of how to torture and kill them. Okay, this does not change my previous opinion whatsoever, one bit. They're incredibly powerful, they can crush plate armor with their tails, they love the sound of something being crushed within their grip. They have also mastered the glare ability. A single look of their eyes or their pattern is enough to bend anyone to their will. They will take full advantage of this power to enact their revenge. Some have even taken over entire towns in order to get to their target. Their least vengeful ones, will crush their former loves to death and eat them as soon as they get hands on them. Fair enough, I suppose. On the other hand, the most vindictive ones will scheme complex tortures and dreams of ways to cruelly maximize their suffering. You know, there's something weirdly appealing about that too, Smash. Pikachu! Of course, Pikachu. Oh, God, Pikachu. Well, the urge to cuck Ash is near overwhelming, I will admit, even though this is a pinch too far on the furry spectrum for me, usually. Pikachu possesses great intelligence. Question mark, question mark, question mark. They create their own secluded communities dedicated to the study and understanding of electricity. Their cheeks can store and release electricity at will. They live in abandoned towers and forts. The image of an 18th century fort just infested with Pikachus briefly flashes through my mind, firing electricity at somebody who approaches with electrical wiring, alright? Sometimes monsters as well, they repair these structures and fit them to their needs. They're often full of metal contraptions and cables that carry electricity around. They create their electrical ateliers, which they use to immerse themselves in the study of electricity. Misa thinks these and the World War II Germans would have gotten along very well. The ultimate goal of all Pikachu is to obtain the Thunderstone. It is said to grant anyone who possesses it incredible power. Considered mostly a myth, some speculate that only the deepest understanding of electricity can result in the creation of a Thunderstone. Pikachus band together and are part of the Thunder Coven, an organization of those immersed in study of electricity. It is said that the coven spans through all the 7 kingdoms, each one with their own clan of similarly looking Pokemusus. Well, again, the urge to cuckold Ash is overwhelming because Ash deserves all the suffering in the world, so smash. Raichu! What is that giant ball around her neck? The few Pikachu that manages to obtain the Thunderstone use it on themselves, despite the advice from the other sects. That is when a Raichu is created. They're extremely rare and incredibly powerful. The power of the stone is too much for them to bear. This changes their bodies. Their cheeks get lighter, but they are also capable of absorbing and discharging huge amounts of electricity. They also become wilder and more aggressive, losing most of their advanced mental capacity and becoming more beast-like. They gather electricity from the environment without knowing. When said energy goes past their limits, all the extra power starts to strain their bodies, causing them pain and making it harder to focus. As if it builds up, they become more savage. It builds up too much, they'll release that energy forcefully, endangering anything that is close to them. You'd think one or two electrical holocausts caused by these things would eventually get them to clue in on the whole, discharge thing. Sudden, violent, and unavoidable discharge. Terrible. Electrical discharge. They are formidable fighters, and their electric attacks can be devastating to most opponents. They also have claws and charged tails they can use as a whip. They won't shy away from battle, sometimes they attack for no reason. No reason except violence. Pass. Sandshrew. Sandshrews prefer to live in deserts and often arid places. They have a thick carapace that covers most of their bodies, and while it might seem like a constricting piece of armor, it is ill-advised to try and remove it, as it is part of them, and they'll attack you if you try. Yeah, never in my life have I seen an armadillo and thought to themselves, that looks uncomfortable, let's just pry that off you. They are quite shy and prefer to hide, so seeing one is quite rare. They make extensive underground wardens where they create small communities. If there is a volcano around, one is likely to find villages as they love the heat it provides. They will rarely venture out of their burrows, only doing so to look for food and resources. They aren't hostile to humans, so it's possible to go and visit some of their villages, and they'll happily trade with humans, even if they don't have much to offer in return. They love pottery, and have some beautiful pieces they can fetch a high price. If threatened, they curl into a ball and rely on their carapace to deflect the incoming attacks. Hopefully, the aggressor will get bored and leave. When pushed their limits, they'll throw sand at the opponent's eyes, again with the eyes. Their claws are meant for digging, not fighting.
Service guarantees citizenship.
Fine smash. Sandslash. Sandslashes have really large claws for digging. They can dig at astounding speeds. They're and gold-colored. There's a joke here, but They can dig at astounding speeds. Their claws and spikes often break or get attached as a result, but they grow back in a few days. They're more active than Sandshrews and often serve as leaders of their villagers. They are reserved and remain quiet for the most part, only speaking when absolutely necessary. The perfect woman. They specialize in hunting and are surprisingly good climbers. That would be odd considering their weirdly jointed legs. Their spikes and claws fall off often and are constantly replaced. It is said that a Sandslash will take a year to shed all their spikes. These spikes are then used as decorations for necklaces, talisman, and houses. Okay. I was on the Smash side there, but this is essentially the equivalent of a human being decorating their house with their toenail clippings. I don't know, no, that's a bit weird. It's like you go into the house and there's just toenails scattered all over the place. Oh, I can almost smell it. That makes me want to vomit. Oh no, pass. I don't need to know anymore. That's all I need to know. Nidoran, Poison Pin Pokemusu. This Pokemusu lives in secluded communities deep in the forest. Most Pokemusu need to interact with humans in some way since they are for the most part exclusively female. But Nidoran are one of the few rare cases where a male occurs naturally. Disgusting! It is thanks to this that they live on their own without interactions from the outside. Most Nidoran don't even know what a human is. At birth, they get paired with a male which is meant to become their partner for life. Though their lives, they are tasked with the goal of becoming queens and starting their own Nidoran communities. Peaceful and free-spirited, they love to explore. Due to their seclusion, they are extremely curious as to what lies out in the world. Their horns are extremely poisonous, and they are considered sacred. To them, I presume. They adorn their horns with gold and precious stones. They carry small daggers dipped in poison for self-defense. Why? And use their horns and spines to attack. They are trained from a young age at armed combat, this in order to prepare them for the rigorous quest that lies ahead of them. Smash! Because Arch likes hurting other, Pokemusu's feelings, particularly when they're male. Nidorina, Poison Pin Pokemusu. Oh yeah, definitely. If that's what they grow into, definitely smash. As years pass by, female Nidoran eventually come of age. criminal implications makes me re-evaluate my previous declaration, but since it's not a creature, it's not a human, I am not falling foul of any laws. I hope. They get to pick a role in their society. They often choose supporting roles that complement their partner's abilities and strengths. Nidorans are very calm and nurturing. They often lean towards being healers and nature mages. Very rarely one sees a Nidorina that enjoys combat. They get used too, since this, as younglings, they often get tasked with healing their more violent male partners. They constantly train in pairs and get ready for the great adventure to commence. Once they are strong enough, they'll embark on a dangerous quest. They must travel with only their male partner to the mountains, and then they must search the caves that hide the legendary rock, the Moonstone, said to come from the skies themselves. It is only by clearing this trial that they'll become queens. Naturally, they are trained for combat, and even though they prefer a more peaceful role, they are quite capable of fending for themselves. They usually carry staffs with a poisonous barb at the top that are used to be their own. I see, their butts have fallen off or something. And Nido Queen. It just gets better. If they emerge victorious from their quest and manage to claim a Moonstone, Nidorina will become a Nido Queen. They possess increased size, strength, and their bodies get covered in thick scales that serves as armor. All improvements. This transition solidifies their new status as queens, and along with their king, they can no longer remain in their village. They gather friends and anyone who's willing to accompany them, and set out deep into the forest to create their own towns and to start the cycle over. How many moonstones are there in their mountains? How many communities can be supported by the same mountain range before there is just a long line of Nidorinas wandering up towards them to become queens? They're in charge of their own communities, and as rulers, attending to their duties is what they spend most of their time doing. Nido Queens are in charge of the social structure of the town, management of resources, and disputes amongst members. Their words are considered rules and carry great weight with their subjects. They rarely get to fight, but despite that, they are quite powerful and protect their own. They won't hesitate to use force if needed. Their magical abilities, in particular the healing abilities, are without par. Sometimes humans embark on quests to find them and heal their loved ones, although most of these quests fail. Well, Smash again, obviously. Nidoran. You know what? I have adopted the deviant position here, okay? In that there is nothing straighter than forcing a man to submit. And so, you know what? We're gonna embrace this. Smash, absolutely. Smash, again. Humiliation. And smash a third time. A challenging smash, to be sure. One that will be difficult both on me and my penis. But hey, if the guy in Game of Thrones managed to have sex with that universe's version of, what was her name again? The particularly ugly Stark daughter. Then surely I can muster enough courage to humiliate this Nido King as well. Smash. Ah, a palate cleanser. Thank God. Clefairy. Clefairies are very rare, so rare in fact that most people consider them a fantasy. Yeah, me too. But despite that, they are quite real. They love the color pink and wear clothes of strange slippery material that seem to have water-repelling qualities. Very few people have encountered a Clefairy, but it's said that they possess an incredible amount of magical power capable of easily reducing stones to dust. Is magical power... Hold on, how do they walk? I just noticed their feet. That looks ungainly. A high wizard claims that Clefairy possesses an unknown magic and also capable of replicating any magic in the world with ease. Useful. I'm hoping housekeeping magic is part of it. They are very selective of who gets to see them, and even with a bond, they'll hide from strangers, so trying to show them to others is pointless. Good! A healthy tradwife. Highly beneficial. People claim they're able to appear and disappear at will. Some have described it as vanishing into thin air. They'll never fight, and it is yet to be discovered if they'll defend themselves. In fact, they barely get to interact with other individuals at all. When they do, they seem to only start while they hum a strange song. Some have described this as unnerving, and they seem to observe, but it's not clear as to why. Well, absolute smash. Clear, obviously, absolutely. Especially after... Yep, definitely. Yep, no, absolutely. Double smash. Clefable. Mysterious is the best way to describe a Clefable. They're one of the rarest Pokemusus. Catching a glimpse of one is almost impossible. Really? With an ass like that? I don't know. I think it would be difficult to miss, honestly. How do they hide? Okay, well, magic, sure. But, I mean, this doesn't look like a particularly naturally stealthy creature, in my opinion. It is said that if you see a Clefable, it is because they wanted to be seen. They move in a strange fashion, almost as if they were floating. Their senses are incredibly sharp. They can detect anyone that approaches them, even if they are behind cover or concealed by magic. There are claims of Clefables possessing marvelous magic that allows them to walk on water and even fly with just a small flap of their wings. Are those supposed to be wings? I guess they are. Sometimes they make contact with humans, and it is said that if the human is worthy, they'll use dimensional magic to transport them to their personal rape dungeon, where they inhabit, granting them happiness and skills beyond comprehension. It is because of those rooms that a cult of worship for them has developed. Worship the fable booty. Some dark rumors surround them. If you reject them by them, or if you're rejected by them, or deemed unworthy of their powers, you'll become crazy. But for the most part, humans do not concern themselves with them. A human who has a Clefable as a partner is destined to constant mockery, since Clefables won't let themselves be seen by anyone besides their partner. Many have tried to show them to others, but they seem to be able to disappear out of thin air. Trust me, bro, my girlfriend has a really fat ass, believe me. Yeah, well... Oh hey, finally we're getting into some good stuff. Vulpix. Vulpix is a small fox-like Pokemusu with 6 big fluffy tails. When they are born, they only have one, and it splits as they age. So by definition legal. Good. Once it reaches 6 tails, instead of growing more, their tails will start to become hot and change to a platinum blonde hue. They love hot climates and will often be seen breathing out smoke to regulate their temperature. Their clothing is quite peculiar for the region and very elegant. Some humans have started to recreate them. They attach bells somewhere in their clothes or bodies as accessories. They enjoy the sound they make as they move. It is quite soothing, and they count the dings to keep themselves entertained. That sounds mildly mentally challenged to me, but okay. They are highly magical, and they possess a rare ability. They can breathe fire that can be manipulated at will, creating artwork with it. Some have claimed that the skilled Vulpix can create a face perfectly out of fire. They use their fires to light the forest and play pranks on humans, making them believe their wisps are spirits. They grow bored easily, and combat is not something they find amusing. They enjoy strong emotional reactions, which is why they mess with humans. Absolute smash, no doubt about it. Ninetales. 9 big fluffy tails. What more is there to say? Smash, obviously. Spring from their backs. This is the most eye-catching feature of the Ninetales. They're incredibly proud of them and usually love to parade them around others. They can live up to 1,000 years without aging. So they live longer, but they'll look worse. This is thanks to the energy within their tails. That suggests that it's not infinite energy, though, so they're not quite a nuclear power plant, but they're close. Ninetales are quite intelligent. They can easily pick up and speak any language they come across fluently. Their magical abilities are also awe-inspiring. It is said that their tails are filled to the brim with mana, granting them huge power. Their flames are but the tips of their magical abilities. Unlike Vulpix's playful nature, Ninetales are cruel and vengeful. Why? They will lash out against anyone who disturbs them. They are very sensitive and will easily get their pride hurt. Their flames have hypnotic powers, and their gleaming red eyes allow them to control minds. Ninetales are truly master manipulators, and they love to have human slaves do their bidding. None of this is a deal breaker. There's a record of extreme cases, one of them are taken over an entire village. Battles with them can be quite tricky, as they are not above dirty tricks to ensure victory. Still smash. Still absolutely. Yep. Nope. Fine. I don't know about that. No, that strikes a certain uncanny spot in my mind. Jigglypuffs are very short. There's a lot of short Pokemusu in this. I'm starting to question the taste of the creator, honestly. and tiny. They always have small frames and walk with elegance, almost as if they were floating. They move around quickly and are very soft-spoken for the most part. One of their most iconic traits is how long and hair curls to the tips. They are one of the very few Pokemusus that have completely integrated with humans, living in cities and towns alongside humans. This is a rather damning condemnation of human society in this universe and their sexual proclivities. So much so that it's almost impossible to find them in the wild. They usually live in monasteries, of course. Obviously, natürlich. The only thing I'm surprised about is they're not male. They usually live in monasteries since the Church of Arcos hires them to soothe belief. It get worse. Now, I can see why you would build a religion around this, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of creepy people out there in the world. But still, I must object. I must most fiercely and ferociously object. Their voices are their most beloved treasure. They remain quiet most of the time to conserve their voices, but once they get to sing, they go all out. Their performances have been described as enlightening. It is not rare to find whole church choirs composed of only choir boys, of only Jigglypuffs. Their heavenly voices can soothe the soul and can put anyone to sleep, but that is just the beginning. They can adjust the wavelengths of their voice to match their brain waves of their audiences, resulting in deep relaxation. One will always feel better after hearing a Jigglypuff sing, and some claim they can even heal sickness and lift curses.
Heresy's the question. Fire is the answer.
There is a tremendous amount of highly negative implications here that will require me to go and get a glass of water to cleanse myself. Be right back.
Service guarantees citizenship. And so we return to the realms of underage Pokemon. Wigglytuff. Okay, well, we're heading in the right direction now. We are moving in a more socially acceptable form. Good, good. Wigglytuffs have a very special place in society as they, with their incredible beauty and elegance, represent the standards of nobility. I see. It is unsurprising that every single noble house and royal worthy of their gold has one of them in their court. Ah, they evolve into pets, essentially. Good. They get scouted as Jigglypuff in church cars, of course they do. I was hoping that at least the upper classes in this universe had a certain bit more of a, advanced taste, but no. When the most skilled singing catches someone's eye, they get taken into said family. Once there, they get gifted a necklace with the most precious of moonstones. Aha. An incredibly rare and expensive material, and if the Jigglypuff accepts the gift, it'll immediately turn into Wigglytuff. They will officially be a part of said family, and only sing for them. Their elegance is beyond this world, and their poise and movement match it perfectly, creating a truly beautiful spectacle captivating anyone who lays eyes on them. Their fine and silky hair is so soft that most who touch it will not want to stop. Noble use their hair to make some of the most expensive dresses and fabrics. Of course. Making clothing out of hair. This is getting creepier by the minute. Including underwear, I'm sure. Their skin is also unnaturally soft. They often get compared to dolls, so light and graceful that some claim they're able to float at will. They are really quiet and they reserve their voices for special occasions to the point of rarely even speaking. Okie dokie then. Pass. Just because of the crime of the preceding one. It's obviously also a pass. Zubat. Zubats are rather lithe compared to other Pokemusu, with legs that end in points and thin, flexible wings. With purple membrane, they don't have eyes, but their bangs hang long over their brow to hide this. To make up their blindness, they possess impeccable hearing and use echolocation to find their way while soaring the skies. Typically, they live in dark places, since sunlight burns the skin on contact. Alone, they're cowardly and will flee instead of confronting intruders in their territory. However, in groups, they'll ambush unlucky travelers and drain their blood until there's nothing left. I see. They seldom associate with anyone outside their communities, Pokemusu or human. Humans take Zubat threats seriously and will hire adventurers to dispatch groups wherever they found. Human communities near large caves also take extra care to demolish abandoned structures that Zubats may seek to inhabit. Zubats' primary weapons are their fangs, which are used to drain the blood of their victims. However, Zubats can also alter their voice to make women in danger to trick heroic mind travelers into walking into a surprise attack. I was leaning towards Smash, but the whole eyeless thing, that freaks me out a little bit, so pass. Golbat. Independent Zubat that wander from swarms evolve into Golbat. I just noticed the ginormous open mouth in their stomach. That's some definite vor bait right there, and I don't like it. Upon doing so, their stomachs open into a mouth-like aperture, which lets them drain blood from their prey faster and metabolize it more efficiently too. I see. It is unknown if they keep their old Zubat mouths as well, since Golbats all cover their faces with cloth. Since Golbats are so disciplined and skilled, they don't have trouble finding roles in human society. However, their primary work is as contract killers for corrupt nobles. They don't need money, but enjoy being paid in fine clothing and unusual baubles that catch their eyes. Due to their work, most humans stay clear of Golbats, which the Musu tend prefer, as they only have eyes for their masters that contract them. For these humans, they are fiercely loyal. I mean, advantageous, but nevertheless a bit weird there. Golbats prefer to take their prey by surprise. Their primary method is by landing on a target and swallowing their heads in their massive mouths. There, they use their fangs to drain the prey's blood from their necks in mere minutes. Once sufficiently drained, Golbats can swallow their prey. Yeah, that's what I figured. Yep, pass. Definitely hard pass. Nope, absolutely not. Oddish, Weed Pokemusu. Weed, so predefined as less useful. I see.
Service guarantees citizenship.
Oddishes are shorter than most Musus. Again. Around 140 centimeters. They have root-like feet which can change shape to suit their environment. Their leaf-like fingers are actually made of skin, are green to disguise them as foliage to would-be attackers. Oh yeah, I'd totally see that out walking the forest and think to myself, that's a weird tree. Definitely. Odishes hate being exposed to the sun and will bury themselves in soil to avoid it, leaving only their fingers visible above ground. Okay, fair enough. In this state, they absorb nutrients through their skin. They only come out when their leaves feel the sensation of moonlight upon them, as bathing in moonlight aids their growth. Since the Musus are exclusively nocturnal, they don't interact with humans often. In rare occasions where they happen upon someone at night, they are generally friendly and easygoing. Their only goal is to grow larger, and as such, Odishes have few reasons to engage with humans on their own accord. Oddish avoid fighting when possible. In the occasion they must fight, their only method of defense is to use their prehensile leaves to throw stones at the attackers. The most adept Odishes are capable of throwing stones at around 145 kilometers per hour. Still dangerous. Pass. Gloom. It gets worse. Gloom are lonesome Musus that are known for the large orange petals atop their heads and smaller flowers across the rest of their body. They constantly produce a thick nectar from their mouth that looks like drool to other creatures. but is actually nutritious and has numerous medical applications as well. Generally, a gloom will live in solitude in damp locations with generous sunlight, such as marshes. They require a large amount of water than most plants like musus to continually produce their nectar. Glooms are seldom seen by humans or other musu, not because they're rare, but due to the intense smell of the nectar the musu produces. Generally, in the wild, the gloom nectar has a rotting scent that scares away anyone that may come near, but gloom are capable of producing a wide variety of aromas based on their current mood. However, without strong social bonds, gloom never produce a sweet nectar, dooming them to a cycle of misery that creates a stronger putrid
Heresy's the
stink.
question. Fire is the answer.
There are no natural enemies to gloom, as any creature with olfactory organs stay far away from them. Because of this, the scent of gloom produces is their only natural defense. Pass. Stinky. Vileplume. Vileplume are a sinister musu known for the massive red flower that sits atop their head. This blossom is larger than any flower on record, and it's so heavy, Vileplume have to develop the strongest root structure of any plant-like musu just to walk around. Walking plants. If they walk, are they truly roots? They make their homes deep in swamps far from humans or other musus for shelter. Vileplume build homes by spreading their corrosive spores onto trees. The pollen eats away at it from within until only the outer shell remains. While the Vileplume is living in a tree husk, it'll be decorated with red flowers similar to their own. Vileplume are notorious in human society for their violent tendencies. The musu is mostly known for capturing and eating humans that wander into their territory. I see. Many cautionary tales are written about the musu, informing children to stay far away from the infamous red flowers. Despite Vileplume's great strength, their lack of speed and are reliant on the toxic properties of their pollen to capture their victims. The spores collect in the air around their lairs, making an approach near impossible. Additionally, the musu can throw thick plumes of pollen great distances to catch unwanted visitors by surprise. I hope they don't need a lot of nutrient, because all of this sounds like they're not really going to be attracting victims, rather scaring them away initially. It seems a poor survival strategy, but who am I to judge, I suppose? Pass, definitely. Aha. Paras. Mushroom Pokemusu. It is common to confuse Paras for 3 separate musu on account of the 2 mushrooms they carry on their back. From birth, their mother will spread the spores from their mushrooms to the back of their offspring. That has some worrying implications. The mushrooms don't exist without the host and vice versa. As such, we treat them as one entity. Paras form long-lasting friendships with these mushrooms, so strong that the paras won't make decisions unless their fungi friends approve it. Because of this, they typically only live in damp, dark locations like caves or swamps, as that's what the climate the mushrooms prefer. It is rare for paras to interact with people that aren't their mushrooms. Upon investigation, scholars found the trio have wildly different relationships from paras to paras. Some act like 3 individuals, but others are more similar to a hive mind in their perspective of the world. In any case, the 3 are always good friends. Paras would rather run than fight, as its stubby claws have had difficult harming aggressors, and the mushrooms have no natural defenses themselves. If paras cannot run away easily, it will often try to bury underground and make an escape that way. Pass. Hard pass. Very hard pass. Harder pass. Parasect. Jesus, it's get worse. Parasects are a result of paras mushrooms growing to the point that they completely merge with the host para's body. The eyes of the paras become vacant, and this transformation as the mushroom becomes a sort of hive mind for the paras, and mushrooms will. Many assume that parasects are dead at a glance, but they are very much alive. Much like their predecessors, they live in isolation. They make their homes by hollowing out dead trees to form hovels. There, the dry roots and vegetables they gather to store and eat later. To avoid running into other musus or peoples, parasects typically gather these in the dead of night. Most humans jump to the conclusion that parasects are a fungi consuming an innocent musu and consider them abhorrent. Correct. Well-meaning people will even attack parasects on sight in an effort to free the paras from this distress. Parasects don't see it this way, and that the Paras is now together with them as one. Parasects are a rare example of Musu that grows weaker when it goes through metamorphosis, as their larger size and slow movement make them even easier targets than normal Paras. They rely on hiding from threats rather than confronting them. This sounds like a highly abusive relationship to me, and seeing as it's also a lesbian relationship, yes, there is going to be a tremendous quantity of vile mental abuse involved. Pass. Oh boy, I see, right, okay, right, well, fluffy, it's fluffy, but apparently there is such a thing as too much fluffy, okay. Venuat, often mistaken for purple tumbleweeds, Venuat are an energetic Musu completely covered in purple fur. Their limbs barely exceed the length of their long coat, and their bright red eyes consist of thousands of smaller eyes that look in all directions. This gives them some of the best vision of any Musu on record. Not a plus. Venuat rarely live in one place for long. They prefer to constantly be running around in the moonlight. When they eventually grow tired, they tightly hug a tree branch and settle off to sleep, I see. They often fall from trees upon waking, but their shell-like skin protects them from serious harm. Humans describe Venuat as aggressively friendly. And they'll gladly chase down people, they like to hug them, and tell them stories about their forests. Aha. The only way a person can convince a Venomat to stay away from them is to try and cut their hair or dress them in clothing. They consider these practices incredibly offensive. Unknown to Venomat, their hair secretes a potent poison, which gives them a strong natural deterrent for would-be attackers. Touching their hair isn't enough to be afflicted, but ingesting it can cause blindness, shortness of breath, and heart problems. You know, initially I was definitely on the pass front, but aggressively friendly furballs. You know what? There's a certain appeal in an aggressively friendly furball, so pass it is. Smash! Jesus Christ. My inner Freud is slipping out. Although I am not a fan of the evolution, Venomoth. The gargantuan Venomoth is a lilac purple Musu that stands nearly twice the height of the average human. It has 6 segmented legs, but prefers to fly with a massive wingspan averaging around 1.9 meters. The horns atop its head look dangerous, but are actually too soft to be used as a weapon. Venomoth are nocturnal Musus that prefer to live near cities that cast bright lights at night. Lamp? During the day, they'll sleep in dark shaded forests and snack on mushrooms, but once the sun sets, they soar the skies of nearby civilization. In particular, they like Pikachu towers, since their magic experiments are so shiny. It is rumored that Venomoth horns are a magnet for human emotions, letting the Musu understand people much easier than other Musu. It'll use this ability to help sad people by lifting them into the night sky so they can experience the same joy of flight the Venomoth does. Ah, yes. You're having a bad day, you're going home late at night, one of these things sweep down from the sky, pick you up, drag you 100 feet into the air, and just hold you there, whilst presumably slowly poisoning you and chittering happily. I am sure that will, well, it will make you less sad, as abject, ball-clenching, pee-squirting terror is absolutely the opposite emotion of sadness, I will say for sure. When a Venomoth flaps its wings, it scatters a thin, toxic powder. This residue isn't lethal, but leaves those touching it paralyzed. This causes Venomoth to afflict anyone near them, or anyone they may be carrying, often without them realizing it. Exactly. So yes, the bladder-emptying terror you get as you are dragged up into the sky and immediately paralyzed, and all you can do is stare down hundreds of feet onto the ground, wondering whether or not this mysterious creature is going to simply drop you, or bring you back home to devour you slowly from the inside out. Oh yeah. Yes, very, very friendly. Diglett. That's basically just a prolapsed butthole at that point. Yeah, that's basically all it is. It's just basically a prolapsed butthole. The small mole Musu, Diglett, is always buried in earth. They are completely brown in color aside from the red circle in their chest, which is actually their heart. Their skin is incredibly soft and slimy, which perplexes researchers since the Musu spends most of the time digging through rough earth. Most Digletts live in a large enclave called Diglett Caves that connects Vermilion Port and Viridian Town. They're currently working on creating mortals that connect various ports of the continent. Well, at least they're societally useful, I guess, which they rarely venture outside of, since sunlight hurts their skin. Digletts are one of the most collaborative Musu in their relationship with humans. They create new trade routes that benefit neighboring human settlements. In return, humans will eagerly defend their Diglett friends from external threats, and also reward them with jewels that the Musu treat as tasty snacks. In the rare occasion that a Diglett is put in danger, they'll prefer to run than fight. They do this by slipping underground where most aggressors can't follow. The rock circle surrounding a Diglett is part of them too, but according to Diglett, it's only for digging, not defense. See, there's a qualifier here, okay? There's a qualifier here, right? If this, the underground part, is the primary body, then very much so pass. Oh, damn it, it moved without me putting the button. It did again. Help. And then I struggle to figure out whether on report. There we go. If this is their primary body, definitely pass. If this is the primary body, and this is merely an attachment, we're getting there. We're getting there. Depending upon further information, both. Doug Trio. Now, this one's harder to ignore, I admit. Often mistaken for 3 Digletts in a group, Doug Trio are actually one combined entity. The key difference to note is the ring of rock surrounding them. Each Diglett will be surrounded by a ring of their own, but Doug Trio are 3 Digletts surrounded by one large ring. Otherwise, the two are almost identical in appearance. Doug Trio lives in the same colonies as their Diglett counterparts, but it's uncertain what their relationship to Diglett is. The 3 always have similar personalities, which implies they could be a sort of hive mind, but they also bicker frequently, which seems to indicate the opposite. Socially, Doug Trio aren't much different from Diglett. The two Musu will treat each other practically interchangeably, and humans often don't notice the difference between the two at all. That is, until a human tries to bond with only one of the 3 in a Doug Trio group, which always results in a fight. I see. The digging skill and speed of Doug Trio is much greater than a lone Diglett, so they're superior value as well. Their increased powers even allows them to cause tremors in the earth. Thankfully, these quakes are rarely strong enough to cause structural damage to buildings, though they can cause cave-ins for tunnels. Smash. Fair enough. Muth. The Cat Scratch Musu. Muth are known for their limber physique, long tails, and particularly the large coin they have on their foreheads. The appearance of the coin varies wildly between regions, but always resemble the most used currency of the area. I did not know that, but that's a valuable thing to point out. Muth integrate deeply into human society, often living in bustling cities, rarely wanting to stay in one place. They'll travel in search of adventure. Most often these adventures result in them finding valuables they desire, regardless of who owns them. Muth aren't averse to stealing these valuables, but more kind-hearted humans will make them offerings to the Musu so they don't need to steal. The reason they seek these items is because of the payday cycle the Musu goes through, in which the coin on their forehead glows and consumes valuables held up to it. After a period, the coin on their head will duplicate itself into proportion to how many valuables the Muth absorb during the cycle. Aha! Because the Muth are sharper, the Musu would rather flee or compromise than fight. A Muth will only willingly enter a fight if it has the element of surprise. Smash. Close enough to Nekomimi standards for me. Persian. Okay, complicating matters now. The classic cat, Persian, is a quadruped pedal Musu with 2 clawed arms. They're most known for immaculate red jewels they carry on their foreheads. Due to the rarity of the Musu, these are some of the rarest treasures in the world, with individual gems being used to purchase castles and ship fleets alone. That's a bit mean, don't you think? Persians are seen as a symbol of wealth and power, as they only live with such people. Most commonly, their partners are nobles and royalty, as they're the only ones that can satisfy their high standards of living. While society vision of a Persian is one of a gentle, noble Musu, in reality they're incredibly aggressive. The Musu has no capacity for empathy and takes pleasure in seeing the suffering of those around them. Definitely a cat, then. They're perfectly content to lash out at their servants and partners as well. The legs and arms of a Persian are exceptionally strong and can tear a human's limbs apart with ease. Despite their size, they adapt at stalking as well. It can leap nearly 11 meters to pounce on their prey. They love to torture their victims until their miserable ends. One of their favorite methods is to hold the victim still with their arms and their front legs rip their innards out. You know, I was afraid the most complicated part of judging this particular Musu was whether or not it was a furry or not. But you know what? The whole digging their innards out with their front claws make this one a pretty clear pass to me. On the one hand, having one as a willing slave would be interesting, but the whole lacking empathy thing means that they're probably not very trustworthy. Definitely pass. Psyduck. Well, that is one hell of a posterior, I will say, but that's probably not a good thing. The Duck Pokemusu. The Duck Pokemusu. Psyduck is always seen gripping his head in both hands. This is because the yellow-feathered Musu has a chronic debilitating migraine. That's a bit mean. It is believed that this is due to the Psyduck's latent psychic abilities, which the Musu cannot control, often leading to disastrous results. Constantly suffering from their headaches prevent Musu from building advanced structures. As such, they commonly live in natural shelters like caves or wooded areas. Often, the Gold Duck will live with Psyduck to help protect them and train them to manage their psychic abilities. Psyducks are seen as an ill omen, often preceding horrific accidents. This is due to the Musu's abilities lashing out when they experience excess stress. Psyduck typically lose consciousness during strong episodes and will be awoken by angry onlookers in devastated surroundings. Only a fool would see the waddling Musu as an easy target, and these fools who threaten them see the effect of their abilities firsthand. Landslides, collapsed trees, and earthquakes are known to follow a Psyduck under duress. Though if their pain is extreme enough, their psychic force is enough to break bones by itself.
Service guarantees citizenship.
You know, I feel bad for it. Smash. She's a little cutie. She's a little bit out of control. That's all. Smash. Golduck. That was not the evolution I was expecting. The Duck Musu Golduck is the result of a Psyduck mastering control of their psychic abilities. English. This transformation creates a red jewel on their forehead, which is the source of this control. Dissimilar to Musu-like Persians, this jewel cannot be removed, and Gold Ducks are incredibly offended by outsiders that try to do so. Gold Ducks are territorial Musu and regularly travel the freshwater lakes and rivers they inhabit to protect the Psyducks they care for. They prefer to stay submerged whilst doing so. This, as they swim, speed is one of the fastest of any Musu on record. There are many tales from fishermen about Golducks saving them from a watery grave, and these tales aren't fiction. As while Golducks are not traditionally social, they have a strong desire to protect those that can't protect themselves. According to them, this is to return the favor for the Golduck that protected them when they were young. Golduck can use their telekinesis to create powerful tidal waves of whirlpools to prevent foes from invading their waters. Land-dwelling enemies don't fare much better, as Golduck can trade high-pressure gazes to reach those that attack from long ranges as well. Pass. We're getting a bit too creepy now. Mankey. Pig. Really? Pig. Not my first guess, but okay. Pig monkey. Pig monkey Pokemusu. I didn't even know that was a thing. The muscular and flexible Musu Mankey is known for their long tails and three-toed feet. This combination of attributes lets its Musu easily climb through the forest that they call home. She's brown too. We're getting dangerously close to some unfortunate territories here. Monkey are known to exhibit the following emotions: irritation, frustration, pissed off, fury, and anger. Monkey... We're getting really dangerous here. Monkey cultivate their rage to achieve great strength and martial prowess. Help. They don't let their emotions control themselves, however, as it's considered shameful for Monkey to lose themselves in their anger. Instead, they release their fury in short bursts, giving the Musu the strength to break boulders or shatter trees in a single blow. Monkey have a reputation for being hostile, but that isn't accurate. Monkey outright refuse to fight anyone that isn't a warrior, as in their eyes it would be unfair to their opponent, though they are willing to make agreements with humans to help them train. With the Musu's incredible strength, they can easily defend themselves with their fists alone. However, since fighting depletes their anger, they prefer to avoid it. To accomplish this, Monkey have developed an intense screech that can intimidate potential opponents from miles away. It is very caring of its butt hurt, I see. Well, butt hurt is a valuable source of power for the Monkey, I suppose. Prime Ape. Pig Monkey Pokemusu Part 2. Once a Monkey reaches true mastery, they become a Prime Ape. Reaching this stage makes them much stronger, and the Musu is no longer reliant on maintaining the range to keep this power. However, they can still go berserk in a manner similar to Monkey, but the power causes more devastating results. Prime Ape are rare sights as they travel the lands looking for powerful fighters, and feats of strength that they can accomplish to further the course of mastery. Though on occasion Prime Ape will return to the forests, they have spent their time in as a Monkey to train their future rivals. The martial Musu has a reputation of defeating bandits and other villainous people in human society. Partially, this is due to their search for worthy opponents, but Prime Ape also possess an innate disdain for fighters that only target those weaker than themselves. Prime Ape don't attack those that are beneath their skill level, which is all but the greatest warrior among humans and Musu. That is, unless the Prime Ape has control of their temper. In this state, the Musu will destroy everything around them until stopped by another Prime Ape or similarly skilled warrior. Pass. Growlithe, Puppy Pokemusu. Well, isn't that just adorable? The ever-vigilant Musu, Growlithe is decorated in orange-striped fur and has thick paw pads on its feet. Their tail is bushy and rustles loudly when they wag it in excitement. Aww. The Musu also possesses opposable thumbs and two clawed fingers, a feature their middle and right ring finger lacks. Growlithe most often settle in human society. Their gentle and protective personality let them easily integrate into large settlements as well as small towns. Though the Musu can take on many roles in human settlements, most of them became guardsmen. Their territorial nature and natural strong senses lend them to being expert lookouts and guardians. Additionally, Growlithe have the ability to keep perfectly still for hours at a time while holding their focus, all the while occasionally they mistake for statues in this state. Really? I would expect their little bushy tails to wag all the time, though. That's very disappointing, actually. Growlithe prefer to use martial prowess when possible to take down brigands and other nefarious intruders. Though, if this is inadequate, they can also launch fireballs from their mouths. Aha! Somehow, I didn't quite expect that, but very well. They are capable of exhaling fire in other forms, but they prefer to limit the spread of fire by spitting them in this manner instead. Smash, obviously. Adorable. And then it gets worse. Arcanine, legendary Pokemusu. All Growlithe yearn to reach the ranks of Arcanine, but doing so requires a Firestone, which are held by the royalty of each kingdom. These royal create their own trials to decide who's deserving of the title. Upon completing one, the Musu morphs into quadrupedal body with powerful hind legs that increase the Musu's strength and speed. They become even more loyal to their retainers, and as such become the most trusted knights and generals of their kingdoms they serve. Despite their rank, they insist on being the first to charge into the fray of a dangerous situation with shield in hand. Often Arcanine are used as a symbol of courage and strength. Many kingdoms will build statues to famous Arcanine heroes, and some even decorate their flags in their image. Though they possess great fame, they still remain kind and happily greet fans that approach them. The only weapons Arcanine can use are shields that have been tempered in their own fire breath, as swords break too often when swung with their strength. As such, Arcanine will use their extreme speed to slam into their foes while protecting their allies and breathe fire through the balustrades of their shield when needed. Dangerously furry. Dangerously furry. Dangerously furry. But there is a very big fluffy tail at play here, and I do like fluffy tails. Big fluffy posterior. The bestiality implications are near overwhelming, and yet I must go with Smash. Too much fluff. Too much fluff. Well, I'm immediately given the opportunity to redeem myself. Poliwag. The water-dwelling Mussy Poliwag appears human at first glance. I don't know about that. But below the surface of the water, one will notice a large flipper they use to paddle themselves around, as well as their counterclockwise spiral pattern on their stomach. Poliwag possess gills and freshwater lungs, which allows them to live above or below water, though they generally prefer to swim. Poliwags live in pods with other poliwags in freshwater lakes and rivers. Often they'll settle in areas near Golduck, as Poliwag appreciate their company, and Golduck, kind-hearted nature can't help but try to protect them. Despite living in remote areas, Poliwags will seek out new people to be social with, including humans. Though they have difficult understanding the nuance of many of these groups, some examples include stealing from merchants, since they don't understand the concept of ownership or assuming a bard's song lyrics are literal speech. Bit communistic, that. With little natural defense, a Poliwag will rely on others to defend themselves or flee from the attackers, though if no such solution is possible, pods of Poliwags will swarm attackers and pull them underwater to subdue them. Pass, definitely. Too communistic and too weird looking. Poliwhirl. The amphibious Musu Poliwhirl is the result of a Poliwag adapting to exploring dry land. While Poliwag typically live in ponds their whole lives, rarely one will become adventurous enough to seek out the world. This results in the tail splitting into webbed feet and their hands callousing with thick white skin down to the wrist. Despite their adventurous spirit, Poliwhirl tends to stay close to their ponds. They will adventure further into the unknown on short trips, but always return back to visit their sisters to share gifts from their world outside the water. Just like their Poliwag sisters, Poliwhirl have great interest in humans and will often visit their settlements, where they'll attempt to trade for new trinkets using shiny rocks and flowers they find. That is adorable. Unscrupulous humans will try to take advantage of their naivete, but settlements near Poliwag rivers will look out for visiting Poliwhirls to ensure they aren't swindled. Poliwhirl's best natural defense is their perception. Having two sets of eyes that work independent of one another lets them see threats well in advance and plan around them. Poliwhirl secretes a mucus that keeps them damp and makes it harder for aggressors to catch them. Natural lotion. Smash. Smash. Poliwrath. Oh boy. Polymusu has been scammed one too many times, I guess. Often confused for a strong Poliwhirl, Poliwrath is actually the result of a puzzle with finding a water stone in the travels. The rare stone can occur naturally in areas with immense water activity like waterfalls and raging rivers. Once used, the stone fills Poliwhirl with the power of a raging storm, giving them immense strength and speed. Ironically, after transforming into a Poliwrath and gaining all the powers they could want, the Musu wander in lustful temper. They will occasionally find cause to roam the world, but they will stick close to the ponds and rivers they grew up in most of the time. Poliwrath are considered a myth to many humans, or just exaggerations from bards who are spinning a story about Poliwhirl. However, they are very real. Some exceptional warriors will even seek them out to learn their abilities, though Poliwrath don't make the best teachers. In addition to their raw power, they have learned a unique fighting style called Tidal Karate, in which they'll manipulate nearby waters in strengthening their physical strikes. Poliwrath explain that they can do this by hearing the call of the water, though we don't currently know what that means. Bit retarded. Okay. Pass. Abra. Sai Pokemusu. The enigmatic Musu Abra is always seen with a mask which hides their face. While the Musu is almost always seen levitating, it actually spends up to 18 hours of the day sleeping. However, even in this state, Abra keep most of their motor functions and can still use their psychic abilities freely. Sleep rape. Abra tends to live just outside human settlements, though they never venture inside of them. They say it is because they're entertaining by observing the latent thoughts of the humans they live nearby, but getting too close to a lot of humans at once gives them headaches. Many rumors float around about Abras, as a few humans have been close to one. When someone tries to approach an Abra, they always teleport away, before any words can be exchanged. Because of this, Abra are often scapegoated for missing objects and other difficulties to explain inconveniences. With Abra's latent telepathy, they can feel hostile thoughts from anyone that approaches them and teleport away before they're in any danger. If an aggressor is determined to harm an Abra, the Musu can induce disorientation and migraine to those stubborn attackers without losing their mobility. A challenge, but not necessarily a pretty worthy one. Pass. Kadabra. Oh, better challenge. The psychic Pokemon Kadabra are known for their three-fingered hands, large pointed ears, and the snouted mask that hides their faces. Ah, human faces underneath. They possess large tails that would drag across the ground if the Musus didn't float about above with telekinesis. That is, they often seen carrying silver and powerful conduits for their abilities. Kadabra have a distaste for the conflict of society and will create homes for themselves in quiet areas. Instead, most commonly they'll take buildings that have been abandoned and with their knowledge and abilities repair the structure to a livable standard. The Musu has little patience when dealing with humans, but is often approached by them for knowledge. So, to compensate for this, Kadabra will use their psychic abilities to peer into their subject's mind and answer their questions before the human even has a chance to ask them. Convenient. A Kadabra will typically remove aggressors from their presence with a powerful telekinesis or teleportation, though they can fail if they're taken off guard. We have heard accounts of this happening, but the proud Musu always refuse to acknowledge the possibility of them being tricked. Smash. Alakazam. Kadabra that embark on a journey to learn the secret of order will return as Alakazam. What his secret is, Alakazam refused to say. Well, it wouldn't be much of a secret if they told you about it, so fair enough. Citing that it is something that can't be gleaned from a conversation or written in a book. Whatever this elusive secret is, it gives the Musu even greater psychic ability. With their enhanced power, Alakazam will transform their living spaces into even more amazing structures, many of which are considered marvels of engineering and architecture. Alakazam are considered the wisest of Musus by humans, as their knowledge of subject is as massive as their memory of nearly perfect. They freely give advice to those seeking it and enjoy speaking with humans with information they lack, even if the human considered it insignificant, as Alakazam believe all knowledge to be valuable regardless of its users. Nice, I suppose. With even greater magical talent than their predecessors, Alakazam can topple buildings with just a thought and levitate themselves in perpetuity. However, in their travels, they claim to have found those immune to these abilities and learned the art of transmuting their power into other elements like electricity and physical force. Pass. Something weird about them. Matchup, superpower Pokemusu. You know, that's a lot cuter than I expected Matchup to be. Often confused for granite statues. How? Matchups are a grey bipedal Musu that possess great strength. This is an account of their dense muscles that gives them the power of those many times the size while keeping their bodies nimble. Though this gives them the side effect of a massive appetite to keep up their physique, Matchup also lives alongside humans in villages and often leaves them if their training requires a place of solitude, like a forest or a quarry. They don't live for long though, as Musu is very social and will go broad. They don't leave? They don't leave. Oh, leave for long though, not live. Yes, I was trying to wonder there. As the Musu is very social and will grow bored without anyone around. Most humans appreciate having Matchup around, as their exceptional muscle and helpful demeanor lend them to becoming excellent defenders of their cities. Matchup love to push themselves to the limit, and groups of them will form oaths to one another to become the greatest warriors the lands have ever seen. While adept enough to fight empty-handed, most Matchup specialize in blunted swords. They choose blades they can't cut for chivalrous reasons, as their muscles is tough enough to ward most blades on its own, and they consider it unfair to subject their foe to something they can't receive in kind. Very chivalrous. Definitely smash. Good girls, good girls, good girls. Very good girls. Machoke. Now we're starting to get into a little bit of fetish territory here, but okay. After intense training, a Machop can become a Machoke, gaining even denser, more powerful muscles and greater endurance. Markings appear on their bodies during this change, red stripes across their arms that are treated as trophies for surpassing their limits, and dark pigment that covers their groins. I see. The latter of which is believed to come from them training in the nude. How does... Never mind. No questions will be asked. Which tans their most sensitive skin a darker shade than the rest of them. I don't think that's how that works. Machoke live in similar situations to their Machop sisters, though they are given more respect and responsibilities on account of their new abilities. Royals and other high-ranking officials seek out Machoke to assist in large-scale construction projects, as hauling and settling stones for churches that take weeks for humans can be done in an afternoon by a Machoke. Machoke are happy to oblige for these tasks if it helps their communities. There are few natural aggressors that can seriously threaten a Machoke. In fact, Machoke are far more concerned with protecting others from themselves than are the other way around. Many Machoke will commission binding belts that restrict their strength and give them greater control. I see, that's what the bondage fetish gear is for. Not just the, recreational choking, but also self-control. Very, honourable. Whilst definitely dangerous, smash. Machamp. I seen we have given up on the whole it's unfair to use weapons thing. Good. Machoke that are exceptional among their peers may be chosen by kings to undergo the ritual of champions. The nature of this ritual is a secret, but it's rumored to artificially infuse magic into their powerful muscles to produce even greater power. Whatever this ritual is, it transforms the Machoke into a Machamp. A Machamp's muscle density is even higher than Machoke's, granting them an unparalleled strength among Musus, as well as 2 extra arms that give them greater control on the battlefield. Machamp have a lot of responsibilities, as warfare across the kingdom is currently decided through the strength and number of Machamps each kingdom has. Since the Machamp can defeat conventional armies alone, okay, it is futile to continue fighting after another kingdom's Machamp prevails. Then why bother at all? What is even the purpose of the rest of the army then? What? Some sort of point scoring system where the army fights for a while and this builds up like advantages or deficits for the country's Machamp, like extra weapons or something? Yeah, that could be an interesting system, I guess. The power of a Machamp is so great that conventional weapons are incapable of hurting them, and their strength so intense that they can cause landslides with a single strike. Due to this absurd amount of strength, the Musu wear enhanced chains to hold their power back. Machamp often describe themselves as living in a world made of cardboard, as they're afraid... as they're afraid of breaking everything. Too much speaking! Terribly rude of me, I know. Too much speaking. I am not going to get through all of these today. Smash on the last one. Bellsprout. The flower Musu Bellsprout often perplexes those that see them at first glance. Their large spotted bell-shaped tails confuse observers as they think those are the heads, but in actuality it's the Musu's mouth that hangs off like a vine, like tail.
Service guarantees citizenship.
Bellsprout often carry the tail on their heads as they find the scent of it refreshing. I see. Most often you'll find Bellsprout in dense forests as they love damp environments with various sources of food. Bellsprouts are very energetic and will quickly make friends with other Musus that dwell in their forests, particularly Butterfree, as they love to use their silk to craft clothing. Well, that's nice, I suppose. Bellsprouts live far from human settlements and as such don't know much about them. Most commonly, when they discover a human for the first time, they'll attempt to taste them with their tails, leading to some very unusual accounts. I imagine, yes. The Bellsprout's mouth tail also functions as a stomach, which creates strong acids that can dissolve almost anything. If necessary, the Musu can spit this acid great distances to defend themselves. The potency of the acid is enough to eat through solid metal and almost anything else as well. Well, that sounds like a pretty clear warning to try to not put your penis inside of it, so pass. Weeping Bell. Yeah, I can see what you're trying to do here, Pokemusu, but no, I think that only makes it worse. The Flycatcher Musu Weeping Bell changes from a Bellsprout once its tail outgrows its body. The Musu can no longer walk, but is capable of hopping onto trees. They retain their innocence from their times as Bellsprout, and this combined with their stronger acid makes them very dangerous, even though they don't intend to be. Doubt. Big doubt. Weeping Bell are pushed from Bellsprout society into isolated parts of the forest. This is because the tail's hunger grows until all they can think of is feeding. The Musu does this by hugging anyone that comes close so the liquid in the skin can lull them to sleep. Then they pull the victims into their tail when its acid dissolves the victims completely. Yep, that's about what I was expecting, yeah. As the Musu lives far from others, most humans don't recognize Weeping Bells on sight. Many unfortunate travelers have met their end to what they presume to be a friendly Musu. While Weeping Bell aren't initially aggressive, if travelers are insistent on keeping the distance from them, they can fly into a rage. Their flexible leaves are deceptively sharp, and once the Musu is close, they'll grab the target to induce drowsiness, making it easy for the Musu to consume them. Not initially aggressive. I don't know, attempting to eat you alive via acid sounds reasonably aggressive to me, but I am but a layman in these regards. For my own safety's reasons, pass. Victreebel. When a Weeping Bell comes into contact with a leaf stone, it evolves into a Victreebel. The occurrence is uncommon, but if it happens, the Weeping Bell will gain great intelligence and stand upright atop its pitcher. I am intelligent now. I will stand. Fair enough. From this position, it can use its powerful tail as a whip, and as a Victreebel, it has enough malice to do so willingly. The first thing on a Victreebel's mind is conquest, and there is no limit to their ambitions of power. While a Victreebel is planning, it can be found in humid forest, and a Victreebel is prepared to make their move. They will invade the most opportune settlement they can find. When a village becomes aware of a Victreebel, it's generally too late, as Victreebel only attack when they have amassed an insurmountable force of loyal Musu and human collaborators. Why exactly would you choose to fight alongside this thing? Just soapy titwanks laced with paralysis poison? I'm struggling to find an adequate rationale here. Once the settlement is overtaken, nearby lords have to contract adventurers to root out the problem. Fighting a Victreebel is no easy feat. They've learned advanced magical techniques that allow them to mix regions into their pitcher to form potent poisons and even fireballs. Their physical strength isn't lacking either, as their whips can easily break bones with a single swing. Bit too malicious for my taste. Pass. Tentacool. Oh boy. I'm really missing the Vulpixes by now. If one looks to the waves of the ocean, sometimes they can make out the red spheres of a Tentacool floating about. Tentacool are primarily blue, which can camouflage them with the water, and their lower body possesses a second pair of eyes that let the Musu observe above and below the water constantly. Tentacles can be found in almost every body of salt water in the region. Typically, they stay near rocky shores since they prefer to sleep while anchored to something, but have been found in more open waters as well. The Musu cares little for the affairs of humans or other Musus. Instead, they remain content drifting wherever the tides take them. Superstitious sailors that find themselves in tentacle polluted waters will offer the Musu gifts in exchange for their blessing, their trip with good fortune. Tentacle rarely answer them, but take the gifts anyway. Greed. Good. Their tentacles contain enough toxin to kill a grown man within the hour. With an average dose and a dose larger than average can do the job much faster. The Musu isn't initially aggressive, but it can be startled by something swimming close to it. As such, we recommend announcing your presence in such areas in advance. They understand human speech. That's nice of them, I guess. Huh. It certainly would be a challenge, but a dangerous one. Pass. Plus, I have no idea where its matey parts are. Tentacruel. Okay. Well, I like brown girls, of course, but there's a bit too much in the way of accessories on this one. The bulbous-headed Musu, Tentacruel, can be seen floating just below the surface of deep oceans. The mass on top of their heads has a large red orbs that can inflate to make themselves buoyant and float to the top of the water in the place of legs. The Musu has crisscrossing sharp prongs they use to crush obstacles. And foes alike. Most commonly it's referred to as their beak due to its shape. I see that. Tentacruel live in similar waters as Tentacool, but prefer to stay near the ocean floor to avoid unwanted attention. These groups of Tentacruel will create towers from the stone and coral they find in the area. Humans are extremely wary of the Musu, and seeing one in the open waters is considered an ill omen for sailors on the job. However, Tentacruel are rarely hostile to humans. They are aware of danger their innate toxins are, and try to keep away from those that may be harmed by it. Their shy nature also contributes to this. The toxins of a Tentacruel immobilize those that come into contact with them. Extended exposure to its deadly, though Tentacruel will generally use their beaks on paralyzed foes before the toxin can end their lives. A sort of mercy, I guess. Smash, because there have been far too few brown girls in this collection so far. Geodude. Travelers to the mountains may encounter a Musu floating about with gargantuan stone arms. This is Geodude. Normally they're quite small, though they can also be incredibly dense and can float through manipulating magnetism. Is that how rocks work? A process that Musu doesn't fully understand, but it can still accomplish. Fair enough. Geodude prefers to dwell in areas close to the earth, like caves and mountains. When they sleep, they'll burrow themselves in shallow dirt with only the tip of their hair sticking out. Careless individuals that disturb a sleeping Geodude are liable to get a walloping from them. Since the Musu tends to live far from civilization, they rarely meet humans and vice versa. While the Musu is short-tempered when disturbed or teased, generally they are shy around strangers, but can open up quickly if one approaches them with genuine interest. Geodude form their arms by absorbing energy from the earth that they can manipulate. However, their abilities aren't advanced enough to make much beyond large arms and occasionally throwable rocks. While these abilities are simple, they can be dangerous if you find yourself on the receiving end of them. I imagine. Pass. Too small. And the incorrect color of brown. Graveler. After achieving a greater level of elemental mastery, a Geodude will become a Graveler. While appearing similar at a glance, Gravelers' greater control over Earth allows them to create armor to encase themselves as well as additional limbs that are stronger than the smaller sisters. Graveler live near cliffsides or inside massive cave systems, as their favorite hobby is creating rounded shells out of rock. Well, everyone does need a hobby, I do suppose. And as they say, go rollin', rollin'. Some Gravelers prefer to climb to the tops of tall peaks and roll all the way down, while others will devise a course to race against each other Gravelers. Surprisingly ingenious. Ingenious! There we go, actually. I don't know, it didn't strike me as a particularly, civic engineering-minded creature, or intelligent for that matter. With the Musu living in such remote locations, they seldom run into humans, though some travelers will enlist the aid of Graveler to help them cross mountain ranges. Typical, the traveler will offer gemstones in return for the Graveler's effort. As shiny stones are one of their favorite things. Expensive, but okay. Gravelers are a dangerous Musu to anger. While normally docile, their stone arms can overpower most foes, though if the Musu thinks it's danger, it will prefer to roll over opponents. When this happens, most foes will throw their hands up and back up to avoid becoming a flaccid pancake. Flaccid. Good word. Bonding with the Graveler is fairly straightforward, is it? Pass. Golem! Oh boy, okay. Megaton Pokemusu. Exceptionally rare in appearing after a Graveler undergoes a mysterious magical ritual, golems are even more capable of earth magic users than Graveler. They have no issue creating a near infinite amount of intricate stone, sand, or even gemstones. Tempting, tempting. Their only limit is distance, as the constructs will turn to dust if moved too far from the golem. Like the similar Graveler, golem can be found around tall mountains and great cave systems. They enjoy many similar hobbies to Rockmusu and will race alongside them frequently through the great expertise of golem give Graveler little chance of victory. Since golem are so rare, many humans presume there are myth or tall tales from traveler that saw an exceptional Graveler. However, they are real and attract the attention of magical researchers from all over the world, specifically because their manipulation of earth magic is advanced beyond human understanding. Due to the thickness of a golem's outer shell and its hesitance to move said shed, the Musu is nearly indestructible from physical force. Golem typically look at hostile behavior with confusion or assume that the attacker is playing some sort of game with them. An ability to produce infinite gemstones. That is a little bit of a gold digger within all of us, so smash. Ponyta. I've been being asked to smash horses a little bit too frequently as of late. I'm not liking this trend. I'm not liking this trend. Just the other day I was asked what pony I want to marry. I reject this, okay? I reject this utterly, completely. I make one poor little lore video joke each year, and then you guys are like, hey, play this MLP game. Play this MLP game. This is not my fault. This is your fault. This is definitely your problem. This is not me. I'm guiltless. I am innocent in this. The quadrupedal Musu, Ponyta, appears to be on fire at first glance, but with close inspection, one will find out that the flame isn't hot at all. This is because the fire is actually a manifestation of the Ponyta's emotions, or as some adapt Mage's phrase, their soul. That has unfortunate implications, hellfire and all that. The mental state of a Ponyta can drastically change the property of their fire, though since most of their fire is behind them, they seldom notice it themselves. Ponyta prefer to live in open spaces where they have their roam to frolic about, as such they tend to live in large fields and grasslands, where they can appreciate the vast blue sky above. Since Ponyta's emotions are on full display, they're incapable of deception and are known as one of the most trustworthy Musu around. Humans appreciate this trait, and combined with Ponyta's gentleness, makes them universally beloved and appreciated with nearly all of human society. Brony society at the very least. Ponyta will not fight when confronted. They dislike conflict of any kind and will always seek to flee as safety instead of fighting. Since Ponyta can outrun most other Musu and humans alike, this is an incredibly effective strategy. Bonding with a Ponyta doesn't have any required technique or secret to it, as the Musu is incredibly open and kind. I do have a reputation to protect. Fine. We'll smash the Ponyta. God help me. Rappy. Horse ass. Rapidash. After learning the secrets of ass and achieving understanding of their emotions, the Ponyta may become a Rapidash. A Rapidash are significantly larger and more imposing than the Ponyta. Are significantly larger and more imposing than the Ponyta, and they grow a larger horn that they take great pride in. Their manes also grow more elaborate and beautiful, which inspire many artists to create works in their noble image. Rapidash live in close-knit communities on the outskirts of human settlements, as they appreciate the generous hearts of humans but don't like being confined to bustling cities. Rapidash are beloved by humans far and wide, often considered the most gallant and noble of Musus. Many assume that Rapidash are distant on account of their fame, but the Musu merely gains a greater understanding of what matters to them and choose to save their energy to passionately pursue their desires. Rapidash dislike fighting and will run away when possible. Though someone they care about is in danger, they are willing to defend them. Having mastered their emotions, Rapidash can manipulate their mane into a powerful fire blast, and their horn is quite dangerous when the Musu is running at top speed. Pass. Too much horse. Too much horse. Objections. Slowpoke. Dopey Pokemusu. Those travelling tropical waters may encounter a round pink presence near the waterside. Since the pink presence doesn't seem to move, many confuse them for statues. But in actuality, they are Slowpoke. As the name implies, Slowpoke doesn't move quickly and have the longest reaction time of any recorded Musu, with the slowest of them being over 24 hours. Slowpoke prefers to live near damp environments with water containing the Musu shelter. This is because they like to fish for them with their tails. This fishing is part of their evolutionary process. Magical researchers have taken a great interest in Slowpoke, as their slowness is actually a result of a time anomaly that caused them to perceive the world in 1/100th its actual speed. The oddity only affects Slowpoke, which makes them important subjects for wizards attempting to master time magic, a dangerous subject none have yet mastered. Due to the Musu's exceptional slow speed, most would-be attackers assume Slowpokes to be decorations or statues. As such, they are rarely attacked outright. It's actually much more common for them to be in distress from slow-moving natural disasters like monsoons and hurricanes. Yes, but if something does try to eat them, they will also experience the emotion, the state of being eaten alive at 1/100th the speed of a human, meaning that they will live in unbelievable torment and torture for what will feel like to them 100-odd years. That makes me feel very bad about the for them. Smash, yes, because some mercy. Slowbro. If a Slowpoke catches a Shelder Muse with their tail, the two of them undergo a mutual evolution. The Shelders shall morph into a twisted shape, and the Slowpoke speeds up considerably until it's about as responsive as a human. This combined Musu we refer to as Slowbro. Slowbro generally live in the same coastal areas they lived in as Slowpoke, claiming that the climate is pleasant to them and their Shelder compatriots. According to Slowbro, the Shelders are still sapient while attached to them, though researchers can't find any proof of this. Despite acquiring newfound mobility, Slowbro don't act much different from Slowpoke. They just do the same thing but faster. They remember everything that happened to them as Slowpoke, and they will return to the kindness done by the helpful humans with their newfound abilities. That has worrying implications for the people who decided to struggle snuggle their preceding form. The Musu remains passive after changing and won't initiate combat unless provoked, and due to Shelder's poison, Slowbro have dulled nerves and don't feel much pain, so it takes a lot to anger the Musu. In the usual event this happened, they can use their psychic abilities to create boiling geysers or freeze foes solid. Their psychic abilities. I didn't reckon they'd have any, but why the hell not? Weird toes. Pass. Okay, let's see. Also, 80. Right, I think that's around about halfway through. And I have 2 hours. 2 hours of speaking. Arch is tired now. I'm going to do the other half some other time. Like, I am... You wouldn't understand. It is difficult to read for 2 hours straight. Unironically, it is. It actually is. Oh. And this would be a 4-hour stream. Guys, see, this is why I demanded like $500 to do this, because I knew it was going to take me like 4 hours to do. Right. Let's bring up the waifu weight. And I'll do the super chats, and I'll do this as a separate video thing. Let's see. I feel like the volume could have been a slight bit lower there. Okay. Elsiss Surana, let the arch degeneracy begin, giggles evilly. Alexander Bryant, blink if you're being held captive. Well, I am blinking. I can't not blink. If I don't blink, I die. Do I? Is that how humans work? Or at the very least, it will be extraordinarily uncomfortable. Reverend Norse, look on the bright side, Arch. You could be doing the normal Pokemon Smash or Pass. These are at least humanoid instead of straight up animals. White woman dog level bestiality dodged at last. See, I would prefer doing the Pokemon one. You know why? Because I wouldn't read the Pokedex. They would be way more funny if I just sat there and I went smash, pass, Pokemon. Yes, I'd prefer doing that. It would probably only take me like 30-40 minutes, tops. And I could sneak in some slide balls there to see if you're paying attention. Reverend Norse, this is hilarious as all fuck. Good sport, Arch. Thank you. Matthew Rouse, Arch, the developers of Managed Democracy now have Managed Democracy. Ironic? Indeed. Walking corpse. And so the Lord passed down judgment on his children. Indeed.
Fire is the answer.
Note comes Spartan, not into Lamia. Cringe take. Listen, snake pussy is not good for you. It really is not good for you. Snake puss not good for you. Zero, our book supremacy. Mechanicus on duty. Is this grimdark horny or just horny? A bit of both, honestly. I've been seeing as some of these apparently absorb your soul by sucking it out of your anus, it seems like. Some of it's pretty bad. Elsiss Surana, every one of these are of legal age. Coming of age just means evolution. Question mark, doubt. Sturmrat, letting Dev corrupt you? Shame. Listen. Dominance must be shown. What can I say? Samurai Knight, Arch, chat. There is no law against the Pokemusu. I can do what I want with it. Pulse out a Pokecollar and mass the condom to battle and catch it. Of course, they're not protected by any legal stature. Giga Mango Fanta looks like Vorsh's favorite. The DZV Titan, submit to short sack supremacy, Arch. Oh. And you just mentioned Vorsh too. Vorsh has poisoned my idea of the short stack, I'm sorry.
Service guarantees citizenship.
Giga Manga Fanta, the FBI would like to know your location now, Arch. Samurai Knight, Vikings in this world caught a lot of Jigglypuffs. Good. Giga Manga Fanta, Muhammad's first wife was a Jigglypuff. Was it? Was it first wife? I thought it was the manyth wife, where he started going a little bit off the deep end there. Or was that when Gabriel arrived and was like, oh, no, he's the prophet. He can have as many wives as he wants. Gigamango Phantom. If it has not been done, you damn well Vaporeon description is going to be that shit post off the board from Fortunes. Monster Huntsman 97. Idea for April's Fool Day doing a Lord of Hentai game. What's an example? Taimanin Asagi. Taimanin Asagi. At least it had good animations. Giga Mango Fanta, the trees are speaking in Snoo Snoo. Anime Attackman enters room finally. Aya winning, son? God, I'm glad. I am very glad there's many locks in between me and any potential family members. Anime Attackman, Zero, Venuant Supremacy. Mercenary X21, Mewtwo and Mew better get a really good entry. They're probably at the very end, aren't they? I would assume they would be at the absolute end. Mithril, read the trainer info as well. No. I was not required to, and I'm already reading too much. Johnson Smith, consider doing Ukraine war update. I don't have enough time to keep up with it. That's the problem. And if I can't keep up with it, I can't give a good idea and understanding of what's actually going on there. Johnson Smith, considered Heat, put a saddle on Arcanine and use her as transportation. Why not? Put a saddle on all of them and use them as transportation. Succulent Juice, she'll want to do the Amazon position, but that's a good thing. That's a beneficial thing. 427 Arbook. I see Arch has made the correct decision regarding snake waifus and the fairer sex of my kind in particular. For this, she shall receive a monetary reward. Thank you. Listen, snake pussy, not good, but obsessive snake pussy, maybe. Elsiss, Surana, this was totally worth the 500 I spent. Listen, normally as well, when you go like, hey, how much for this? And I give you a number, normally you're supposed to go to everybody else and go like, hey, I've got this thing I want Arch to do because I like making Arch a little bit miserable. And then you should get other people to help you raise these numbers. That's what you're supposed to do. It shouldn't be legal to just, raise it all yourself. That's cheating. That's totally cheating. And a little bit cruel to poor Arch, who always hopes that you'll fail one of these one day. Mechanic is on duty. I blame the pony stuff on you saying horse is good. Well, bug pony, best pony, what can I say? Joaquin Kiwi has been a member for 15 months. What about the official 1,000 plus Pokemons? There are at least some and relatively human looking ones there. 1,000? I'm going to charge you $1 per Pokemon at that rate.
Service guarantee.
Beedrill, get ready for the other 8 to 9 generations. I am not agreeing to another reading one, I'll tell you that. Oh god, 2 hours of reading hurts. Brian H, 1988, has been a member for 15 months. Thank you very much. Arch, you already have this money, so may I say, this was a damned fun time. Also, for fuck's sake, people, snakes are not Lamia. Question mark. Rebel Umbreon. So, you're going to need another 500 to do the Johto Pokemusu? The Johto. I don't even know what the Johto Pokemusu?
Service guarantees citizenship.
Oh, it's another generation, are they? Listen, the reading part is the worst part. It's too much fucking reading. Got it. It is legitimately exhausting. It is legitimately exhausting to read for like 2 hours.
Heresy's the question. Fire is the answer.
Burnson, how much for Rant's lore video? I don't know a lot about Rants. All I know about Rants is it's got like 50 games, and you know how obsessive compulsive I am with this shit. I would have to go through it. It would take me weeks, and no, that does not sound like a good idea for me. Sounds like a downright terrible idea, in fact. An awful one. That would cause me tremendous amounts of pain. Also, now that I'm done with that, I can actually turn on the light in my room again. Benson, how much for Elsiss, Surana? I'm going to wait till Kinky Motion finishes the Johto deck and then pay Arch to do that one as well. John Smith, making Arch talk more. Kenshi. Elsiss, Surana. But then I won't be able to get Sugar Mummy Rat Box. Sugar Mummy Rat Box. Johnson Smith, more talk, more and more. Too much. At least in a game, you're not talking all the time and you're not enunciating, you're not reading all the time. But, it is exhausting reading. This is why I will never, ever even consider doing audiobooks. I know people ask me for that occasionally. It's like, would you do audiobook? Like, no. Those are like 20 hours of reading. I'd kill myself. Legitimately, I would end my own suffering. Zero, Arch learns about lobbying firsthand. True, but I am but a simple boobtuber. I am bound to the wills of my audience. It is simply an inevitability of my living standards. It's how things are. I exist only through your own kindness and your own continued commitment to making my life weird. Thus, I must embrace these things. And Jonathan Smith, Sargon's canonized. More talk, more. Sargon is canon, this is true. You know, maybe I could train an AI to do this for me. That would not be the worst idea. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe none of you would even notice. That is not a terrible idea, chat. Johnson Smith, oh no, just training AI to speak for you. That is not a terrible idea. That is not a terrible idea at all. I'm thinking I might consider that as a valid alternative, as I'm sure none of you would notice the difference either. I could just interpose, and occasionally with a little bit of commentary just to keep you on top of it all. Yeah, not a bad idea. I'll have to start training that AI soon, though. Viking Kiwi. So, Pokemon lore videos are next after Warhammer. Pokemon lore videos. Does Pokemon even have enough lore to make lore videos out of? Beyond Ash went there. Ash remained a child. Another female joined Ash's groups and desperately begged for Ash to bone them. Ash remained unaware and blind to any and all attempts to get into his pants. Ash remained a virgin forever, except for Pikachu. And Rasmus 0211, Arch has fallen to the horse. Also, first super. Woo! Thank you very much for your first super chat, sir. Eric Kelly, Arch, ever thought of writing a book? No. That sounds like more work than reading a book. And I don't want that. Heath, smash or pass World War II vehicles. What exactly would be the sexual qualifications for a tank? I don't know where to begin with that one. Luciana Meruati, how to start the Rants Lore Video Fund. What, 40 video games, 40 hours each, $40,000 maybe? Johnson Smith, or at least for books and AI would be great. If you could make an AI that could actually replicate your tone and tenor correctly, yes, unironically, it would probably put like voice actors out of a work or out of a job completely at one point.
Heresy's the question.
Mercenary Extended One, I still think GW will make you Sargon's bed lover. You know what? Just to be canonized, I'll take it. Nugget Keeper, expected super Warshites take more than Devianism. More than Deviant. First super chat, dude. Thank you very much.
Fire is the answer.
Listen, the Vortian takes are pure degeneracy. The violent rape and sexualized subjugation of the male Nidoran are a logical power move. It's yes, exactly. The Vortian power move. It's a power move. It's a strategy. It's a tactic. Mercenary X21, Pokemon has bloody wars on pair with 40k at times.
Service guarantees citizenship.
Really now? That sounds cruel and unusual. Viking Kiwi, there is a canon lore of people marrying Pokemon. Of course there are. Why wouldn't there be? There's canon lore in our world of people marrying hug pillows and goddamn sheep. Why wouldn't there be? Devon Adair, I'm for the Rants lore video. Well, you only need another $39,998. $6. Math. Giga Mango Fanta. Balls or no balls? No balls, obviously. If there's balls, it's gay. Duh. See, footers are straight, obviously. Footers are just fine. Footers are not a problem. Footers are straight. But footers with balls, that's just a man with extra bits. Gotta avoid that one.
Citizenship.
And Sandum, which was your favorite, Arch? Tell me so can get Albine Fox to draw it in a Prussian military officer outfit.
Heresy's the question. Fire is the answer.
I mean, probably overall, it would either be Rattata, because I do have a weakness for the Gyaru, like, fluffy sock thing. I don't know why. Or Pidgeot. Pidgeot's pretty good as well. Or Vulpix. Those three.
Fire is the answer.
Nidorina isn't bad either. Clefable is too standard. Favorite, huh? Vulpix. It's gotta be Vulpix. Delicious brown girl. You know, big fluffy tails. Yeah. Mischievous personality. Yep. It's gonna have to be Vulpix. It's gonna have to be Vulpix. Like in Kiwi. Blah, blah, blah. Stream extending super chat. Growlithe would fit better in the military setting, though. Growlithe would fit better in the military setting. Absolutely. I was disappointed by the next Growlithe. So the first Growlithe, I was like, okay, what's the evolution going to look like? It's just going to be a bigger, like, muscle mommy? No, it's going to be a big, giant furry. Like, but why? But why the big, giant furry creature? Why that? Why does its body have to be that of a cat? That's not good for you. That's bad for you. That's terrible, and you shouldn't do it. Digimon Smash or Pass Fund. Well, I mean, there's at least some, you know, mildly humanoid Digimons. And Digimon are the superior Pokemon, incidentally. They're the Batman the Animated Series of Pokemon. That's what Digimon are. They're way better. Digimon are way better. Way, 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 way better. Mercenary X21, anything with fluffy tail like Growlithe, 4 head pats. Of course, of course. And Stormrat, this seems like the perfect place to say that I like Warhammer lore. We'll likely have to watch the remastered Vrax. Stay away from Pokemon and Animal P. I don't know about that. Pokemon and Animal P, they've apparently got very deep settings with violent lore in them and stuff.
Heresy's the question. Fire is the answer.
I know. I just looked it up out of sheer boredness. Did you know that the Digimon started out as those dumb little pocket pet thingies? The tiny little mechanical thingies where you had like 3 buttons and you fed it and it was like little pixels on the screen and it grew larger and you fed it and eventually it died. And then you had to start over again. Apparently that was the beginning of Digimon. I did not know this, but I have now learned this. That is a thing. That is information I have now that I will never abandon. Thank you, Internet. Thank you. And lastly, Giga Mango Fanta. If lolcows were Pokemon, who would you have in your team?
Heresy's the question. Fire
if
is the
lolcows were Pokemon. Chris Chan for his sheer unbridled psychic power? I mean, surely, considering the sheer amount of lore surrounding him, he's got to be an abracadabra level psyker at this point, surely. So, there you go. I need to have a special cage constructed for him, of course. But, other than that... Caps Lock 3. Do tails get in the way when it comes to that business? Of course not. They're located above the Angus. They just provide extra insulation and or fluffiness, that's all. And Mercenary X21. Digimon is the GoBots, Pokemon is Transformers. GoBots? I don't know what GoBots are. No, hard disagree. Hard disagree. Digimon are vastly superior to Pokemon. Vastly superior. What's wrong with you? Luciana Meme Rotai, make it 10k. 40k seems a bit out of reach.
Service guarantees.
Listen, there's an assload of Rance games. Like, I'm not going to get through them. And they're all visual novels too, which means they're all like a fucking week long, I bet you. Let me just Google real quick.
Service guarantees.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 Rance games.
Service
God,
citizenship.
help me. No. Muy bad. Muy bad. That is beyond retarded. Far beyond retarded. Far beyond. Right, was that all? I think that was all. Streamlabs? Okay, right. And now, it's time for break. Ben Benson, Sengoku Rounds is not a VN longer than a week. Sengoku Rounds is not a visual novel. Isn't it? I thought... No, it is, isn't it? Isn't it? Because, yeah, no, it is. Sengoku Rounds. It's got a bunch of different games to Sengoku Rounds. No, it is a visual novel. Yeah, no. I know this one. I even tried playing this like 10 years ago because I was like, okay, this is kind of interesting, I guess. But I didn't like Rance. It's like too much of an asshole. I didn't like him.
Citizenship.
That's definitely a visual novel. Don't you try to gaslight me, sir. I know too many VNs for you to do that to me. Okay. We'll resume this once I've regained the usage of my vocal cords. Until then, have a good day, chat. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for your generous donations. And I'll see you all again next time. Have a good night.